From The Uninvited to The Haunting of Hill House, Hollywood has portrayed homes as creepy and even evil, full of lingering trauma or resistant ghosts. The contrast is all the more remarkable since homes are generally equated with safety and sanctuary. However, the template of the suburban Gothic plays precisely on that paradox, bringing fear into the otherwise placid home, subverting expectations for quiet stability and the satisfying accomplishment of the American dream with abject terror and financial, if not also physical, ruin. Unlike traditional Gothic mansions, where ghosts and secrets seem destined to lie between the walls, Suburbia makes up for its lack of excitement with an overdose of the ordinary, or at least it's supposed to. Unlike traditional Gothic narratives, where evil is expected to lurk among the ruins, Suburbia is supposed to come complete with green lawns, friendly neighbors, and the promise of perfection. After all, Suburbia appeals precisely for its safety and its security. Much as David Lynch would later take advantage of in Blue Velvet, or Tobe Hooper in Poltergeist, it was precisely this contrast between the banality of the suburban home and the horrors tucked inside that made these instances of horror or supernatural fantasy seem so wildly incongruous. As film director John Carpenter, known for his classics Halloween, The Thing, and Christine, explains, if horror can get there, it can get anywhere. So a filmmaker, if he plays with that, can create fear. Lots of fear. By exploring the fragility of the home, these narratives also examine the tenuous nature of the family structure. Unlike with most conventional horror narratives, where the external threat could be a vampire, an alien, a monster, a serial killer, in haunted home narratives, danger comes from within. If not from within the family, then from within the home itself. There are generally two types of children in haunted home narratives, and the two can and do overlap. In one, the child is a conduit, as either the first to sense the malignant presence or literally as a vehicle possessed by the malignant presence, such as in William Friedkin's film, The Exorcist. In the other, the child is used to interrogate the myth of blissful parenting, synonymous with so much of the suburban promise. These narratives ask the question, what do you do if you hate your child? While haunted home narratives explore allegorically how the home is a place of threat and danger to children, much as it is to wives and mothers, they also serve a second purpose. The specific trope of the evil and possessed child also plays on a different kind of fear. Much as the suburban Gothic explores anxieties about suburban living, such as the realization that the home could actually be the most dangerous place for its inhabitants, they also provide an allegorical outlet for another suburban-related fear. What if parenthood is not what everyone says it should be? Another characteristic of haunted home narratives is the notion of the woman as more vulnerable, more intuitive, more emotional, and more prone to mental collapse. On the one hand, this increased sensitivity makes her more aware, emotionally and physically, of the hauntings around her, and is therefore almost always quicker to realize that the evil forces exist, if not also to figure out what it is that they want. On the other hand, this sensitivity makes her more fragile mentally and more likely to be dismissed as crazy. When she tells her husband or doctor about what she's experiencing at home, even if she has the bruises to show for it, they often refuse to believe her. Another interesting characteristic of haunted home narratives is that unlike traditional cinematic gender roles, where the male is usually active and the woman is usually passive, haunted home films have a unique take. The woman, much like the child, because she is more vulnerable, is also more perceptive. And this makes her much quicker to pick up on the ghostly presence, and this is also why, in these stories, the mother is often the child or the family's only hope. The conspicuous lack of minority representation in haunted home narratives is explicitly dealt with by both Eddie Murphy in his stand-up comedy special Delirious, as well as by Marlon Wayans in the film A Haunted House and its sequel, A Haunted House 2. While Murphy does not address why those whose houses are haunted are almost inevitably white, he does address the question of why those white residents stay. Why don't white people just leave the house when there's a ghost in the house, he asks. A repeated theme in many haunted home narratives is the chilling realization that the past will not stay in the past, that unresolved traumas will repeat themselves over and over again until a proper resolution can be found. This manifests literally in haunted home narratives, where the protagonist's home has been built over graves. Interestingly, these graves often belong to an oppressed minority. As Dale Bailey describes in his book American Nightmares, not only is the haunted house formula a profoundly versatile tool for examining the anxieties and tensions inherent in our national experiment, but the haunted house is also a symbol of all the ghosts haunting America and the American mind, from the dark legacy of slavery to the failed war in Vietnam.